Hey guys, it's Jamie Grace and welcome to Fighter Fridays at imafighter.org. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about being sick. And I know that's like, oh, yay, a sad video. No, it's not. You don't even have to have like an illness to watch this video, because I want to go through 5 things that you are not supposed to say to a sick person. So most of you guys know I have Tourette syndrome. My mom has a very rare medical condition, and just because of my life, I've been like connected with a lot of people that have other like conditions and that kind of thing. And so I was talking with my mom and my friend Grace the other day, and we were just talking through like some things of the struggle of having a condition and people always like saying super awkward or super weird things to us. So I want to give you guys 5 things that you should never say to a person that is chronically sick. Number 1, and in no particular order. Number 1, never say to a sick person, oh, I have the same thing. Now, if you have the same thing, obviously you should be truthful with them. One of the most frustrating things that I have always dealt with my Tourette syndrome is every time like I'll say to someone, I have like movement, I make these kind of movements or I make these sounds, and they're like, oh, well, my hand does this thing where it shakes a little bit, or my eye twitches like once a year, and they try to find a way to associate their quirk with my condition. That is kind of frustrating when people do that, and so I would just want to encourage you guys not to try to find a way to associate with someone that has a condition. If someone is telling you what they have, then you don't have to find a way to say, oh, I have that too. It is perfectly okay for you to say something like, man, that must be hard, or how do you deal with that? You don't have to respond with the exact same way of saying like, oh, I must have that same condition as you, because it can sound like sometimes maybe then what we're explaining to you isn't that important. If I'm saying, oh, I have like severe twitches, and then someone's response is, oh, well, my eye twitches sometimes. It's not the same thing, so be very careful, be very mindful of how you compare your quirks to someone else's condition. The second thing is, it's gonna get better. Now, I know that sounds like I'm telling you guys to be super negative. Don't ever be negative, but be realistic, be honest, be truthful with people. If you don't know about their condition, if you don't know the outcome, it's not best to say, well, it's gonna get better, or you just have to do this. Because a lot of times that sentence is also associated with, well, I can fix it, or this is how we do it. A lot of times when I talk about my Tourette syndrome, people immediately say, well, have you tried a gluten-free diet? Have you tried a sugar-free diet? Have you done this, that? A lot of times those things can be so encouraging and so helpful. Actually, I've gotten some tips from people that have shared with me like things that they've done or things that have helped them, and it's been super helpful. But sometimes it just feels like people are trying to rush so bad to get me to like say that I'm doing better, that they're not really even able to walk with me through the part where I'm actually hurting and where I'm going through things. And that happens sometimes with my mom. People will text me and they'll say, how's your mom? And I'll respond and they'll say, well, she's gonna get better. And I'm like, I truly have faith that she could get 100% better, but right now I need you to walk with me through the pain that we're facing. The third thing is, are you sure it's not? Now, this isn't something that I get with my Tourette syndrome a lot, but this is something that I've gotten with my mom's condition, that I've heard from a few friends as well. It's when someone that is chronically ill or someone that is ill, they say what they're facing, that they've been diagnosed with, that they've been working with and working through, and then the other person in turn is like, well, no, that sounds like this, or that sounds seasonal, or no, that sounds like something I was reading on Google the other day. Now, again, there's a chance that you could actually help someone, or that you could actually be able to encourage them, or that you could actually give them the the tools to bettering themselves or whatnot. But just be mindful and be careful that you're not belittling what they're going through, or that you're not coming across as, well, I know how to fix this, or I know what it is, or I know what it actually is, and I can do this, I. A lot of times when we, as people that are going through a lot with our health, when we're sharing what we're going through, it's not so much so that someone can offer us the solution, or that someone can offer us the way to snap their fingers and make it better. But a lot of times we really just want you to be able to listen and hear us out, because it can be very helpful to explain it. So sometimes, say, like, an example, like if I were to tell someone, like, I have like Tourette syndrome and I make these twitches, and I get a lot like, are you sure that's not your personality? Because I'm kind of a nut, like I'm kind of just crazy all the time, and I talk a lot, and I do like that, even though that's not my Tourette, that's just me being a dork. But it can get a little overwhelming when people try to it almost feels like they're jumping into the diagnosis with me, and they're like, well, let's figure this out together. I'm like, no, thank you. The fourth one is just get some rest. Now, again, this is depending on what someone's talking about, because if someone were to say, like, well, I'm struggling with being tired all the time, then people might be like, oh, you need to get some rest. That's not always, obviously that is helpful, but it just depends on what the illness is and what someone is diagnosed with. So, for example, and I'm telling the story with my friend Grace in the room, and I don't even know if she's okay with me like telling this story, but if she's not, she'll just throw a pillow at me, and I'll just edit this out later. But my friend Grace, she has DRA, which is like a form of arthritis, and there are times where I know, just from when we're like sisters, so from being really close, I know when she's like having more pain than other times. And when we were first hanging out, I would always say, you need to get some rest, you need to get some rest. But now I've learned that that's not always the answer, because if someone that is chronically in pain, if they get rest every time they're in pain, they'll always be resting. And so I've had to kind of come to an understanding that, whoa, it's not my job to try to fix Grace, to try to tell her, well, you're in pain, so you need to do this. She's gotten to a point where she knows her body, she understands what she needs to go through. So instead of me saying, you need to get some rest, I've learned that maybe there are other things that I can do to be there for her when she's in pain that don't necessarily involve me telling her to just sit down and be quiet so that she'll get better. The fifth thing that you should probably never say to someone that is chronically ill or that is sick a lot is, I never noticed, or you seem happy or normal. That is just really frustrating, and I don't think it needs a ton of explaining. One of the most overwhelming things that I get when I tell people that I have Tourette syndrome, and it's very harmless, I know that people don't mean it at all, but people always say, I would have never noticed, or you don't seem like you have Tourette syndrome, or you seem normal. And it's perpetuating a stereotype that just because you're ill, that you're always weak, that you're tired, that you're overwhelmed, that you're stressed, that you're angry, that you're bitter. Now, again, I know Tourette syndrome is a movement disorder, but not all the people with Tourette syndrome have the same movements. Not everybody has the same tics. So just be very mindful of how you talk to people when they tell you that they have an illness. 5 great alternatives to some of these. Instead of saying, I have the same thing, maybe say, have you heard of this symptom? It can start a great conversation, and it can take a little bit of the pride out of the alternative sentence. Instead of saying, it's going to get better, maybe say, I'm praying for you, I'm here for you. Instead of saying, are you sure it's not? Maybe say, that sounds like this thing, but this is this thing. Instead of saying, get some rest, maybe say, is there anything that I could do right now that would help you? And last but not least, instead of looking at someone and saying, I never noticed, or you seem happy, you seem normal, try saying, wow, you're so brave, and I'm so proud of you for being able to overcome this. Why don't you tell me more? For the most part, anytime someone like me with Tourette syndrome or arthritis or pudendal neuralgia, whatever it is, anytime somebody that has a life-altering medical condition starts to speak up about their condition, that means that we're completely okay with speaking about our condition. So if you're ever at a loss for words, just look someone in the eye and say, I'd love to know more. I'd love to talk about this more. What is one thing you wish I knew about Tourette syndrome? What is one thing you wish I knew about this? And if you're really, really, really at loss for words, well, instead of saying, I have the same thing, or you should just get some rest, I would rather someone look at me and say, I have no idea what to say. Because trust me, For people that have crazy medical conditions, we always have enough to say and we can fill up the conversation no problem. So hope you guys like this video. I hope you'll subscribe for more random videos on Fridays about life and how I've been navigating through it with Tourette syndrome. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Okay, bye.